viewing this particular service. I'm Charles McLaughlin. I'm the pastor at First Baptist Church, Lake Worth, Texas, and we're glad to have you with us as we continue through the pandemic. We offer this service to you with the video because many people cannot come to church yet. And we've also had folks, not just because of COVID, but because of health reasons and aging and things of that nature, and that they're not able to come to our worship services. So we offer this now as a way for them to worship and try to encounter God and also stay in touch with what's going on and who we are. So we welcome you to our services. We're glad to have you with us. Not everybody that listens to this is a member of our church or going to our church, and so we also give it to other people and things like that. And they seem to enjoy it or get something meaningful out of it. Today I'll be talking about life is too short to not have priorities. It's my last sermon on the Life is Too Short series, and so I think it kind of has a variety of different ideas that I think you'll find useful and very practical to apply into your life. And after this, we're going to switch and start looking at the resurrection and Easter Sunday as we make preparation for that. And so we have the story of Christ in the last week of his life, and there's so much to say about that. And then we'll enjoy the time of the resurrection together. So we're glad to have you with us. Thank you for coming and joining us today. Let's have a word of prayer as we get started. Father, we thank you for loving us, caring for us. You're a great, awesome, and wonderful God. You're worthy of our worship. Father, these are times in which we need you. We have a lot of things going on in our world and in our life. We still have some repercussions from the frozen week that we had together, followed by 78-degree heat. So it's just kind of unusual here in Texas is what we experience weather-wise, but some of us are still recuperating from that and getting leaks fixed and things of that nature. Other folks are having economic issues. Other folks are trying to catch up at work. We've got a lot of different things going on, and then we have the pandemic and all sorts of stuff happening related to that. So Father, we thank you for who you are to us in the midst of these times, offering us hope and offering us help, and also offering us the opportunity to lean on one another in our time of need. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All to Jesus I surrender, all to him I freely give. I will ever love and trust him, in his presence daily live. I surrender all, I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior, I surrender all. All to Jesus I surrender, Lord, I give myself to thee. Fill me with thy love and power, let thy blessing fall on me. I surrender all, I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior, I surrender all.
Today we come to the final sermon on Life is Too Short. Today we're looking at life is too short to live without priorities. It's very important that we have priorities in our life, and the thing is, what we need to understand is that priorities are always kind of changing according to what stage of life you are in. You've got priorities as a baby. You've got priorities when you're in elementary school. You've got different set of priorities when you're in high school, and then on to college or the next step of life after that, to the work and world and things of that nature. Then you had kids, and your whole priorities shift and change, and then the kids leave, and now when you're aging, you have another set of priorities. So you always have priorities, but they're always kind of changing, and you're needing to make adjustments in your life. A husband and wife were attending a county fair when they could back in those days, and that's not too long ago. But for $40 a person, a man was giving rides in an old airplane. The couple wanted to go up, but they thought $40 a person was just too expensive. So they tried to negotiate a lower price. "We'll pay you $40 for both of us," they said to the pilot. "After all, we both have to squeeze into that tiny cockpit that was built for only one person." The pilot refused to lower his fare, but he made a counter offer. He suggested, "Pay me the full price of $40 each, and I'll take you up. If you don't say one word during the flight, I'll give you your money back." The couple agreed, and they got into the plane. Up they went, and the pilot proceeded to perform every trick he knew, looping and whirling and flying upside down and lots more. Finally, when the plane landed, the pilot said to the husband, "Congratulations, here's your money back. You didn't say a single word." To which the husband replied, "Nope, but you almost got me when my wife fell out." You know, he had a set of priorities. He was going to keep that money no matter what, and his wife probably wasn't going to be proud of him for doing so, seeing they were such a pair. A group of friends went deer hunting and paired off into twos for the day. That night, one of the hunters returned alone, staggering under the weight of a 200-pound deer. The other hunters asked, "Where's Bob?" The lone hunter said, "Oh, he had a stroke of some kind. He's a couple of miles back up the trail." The other hunters were shocked and asked why he left Bob laying back there to carry the deer instead. "It was a tough call," the lone hunter said, "but I figured no one was going to steal Bob." You know, we all have different sets of priorities at different times in our life, and sometimes those priorities can be pretty messed up if we really take an honest look at ourselves. Psalm chapter 90 verse 12 says, "Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom." Teach us to number our days, to realize we have a limited amount of time in which we are to be on this earth. It has been said many times over that we are just visiting this planet. We're only here for a temporary period of time. And as Christians, our true and real home is in heaven with the Lord Jesus Christ. So we're only here for a short period of time. No matter how long you live, it is a short period of time compared to eternity. Psalm 90 verse 12, "Teach us to make the most of our time so that we may grow in wisdom," so that we may be smart and we may handle this short amount of time in a way that is the best for us and for those around us. Ephesians chapter 5 says, "Be careful how you live." And as we look at that, we understand then as we look at our lives that the Bible teaches us that now is very important, and we need to look at our lives and have our priorities set so that we might pursue those priorities, and we need to change our priorities according to our understanding of life at that very time. So the first thing I want us to understand, if we're going to prioritize our life, first thing I want you to see, and you're going to be surprised at this, I think, and that is that life is too short not to play. You know, almost every year I preach on the importance of playing. And that oftentimes what we do is we get so involved in working in our lives, and we get to work and we go to work, and as adults, it's really not the problem with children. They know how to play and they love to play. It's as we grow older, we lose that little child inside of us sometimes. And in so doing, we lose a part of what it means to be you and to be me. You know, I still enjoy a lot of our people here in our church. I won't mention names on this particular one, but some of them are beyond 80 years of age. And I tell you what, part of the cuteness, if you allow me that word, of who they are, and I am thinking more of the females, is that they have a little sense of play. And they may be just a little ornery or a little this or a little that, but they have a twinkle in their eye, and it's still that, you can see the little girl in them with still that sense of play that makes them, well, just flat out adorable, if you will. Life is too short not to play. Exodus chapter 34, verse 21. 6 days you shall labor, but on the seventh day you shall rest. Even during the plowing season and harvesting, you must rest. And when we look at that passage, we need to understand that God created a day for us to rest. And one of the best ways to rest is to play and to enjoy, to do something that is not a responsibility for you, that is enjoyment to you. The song by Archibald on VeggieTales says, I'm busy, busy, dreadfully busy. You've no idea what I have to do. Busy, busy, shockingly busy, much, much too busy for you. When people tell me why they haven't been to church lately, the number one reason I hear is, we've just been so busy. Well, watch that now, because you need to make your priorities. And it's not the priority just to go to church or to do that. It's the priority to take time for each other, to play, and to have time to relax, and to have time not to work and enjoy time. Your life is not healthy if you're escaping into work to avoid life and relationships. I know some people, they want to go to work rather than go home. Because sometimes home's a place of conflict, a place where they don't feel as respected. And with that, we have to understand it's not healthy if you're escaping into work to avoid relationships. Your esteem is not healthy if you're finding all your significance and self-worth in your work. Let me tell you, pastors are just as guilty as anybody of saying, who are you? Well, I'm a pastor. This is my work. Instead of, who are you as a person? What are you about? What do you do? Your spiritual life is not healthy if you're filling your life so full of work that you don't have time for God, for your family, or for other people. We have to realize sometimes we have to step back and try to make a change in our priorities so that we have time for what really matters and is important. God did not want us to think that our work was all there is in life. So He tells us, take a day of rest, take a day not working. I think about Jesus, and Jesus is talking about the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are like senior adults. No, He said, no, it belongs to those who are like children. He is not just thinking of the quiet, calm innocence, but also their playful energy. Let's face the facts, folks. When you're looking at young children, is that what you think of, is how placid and quiet and calm they are? No. You think of their energy level, their questions, their wonder. They're looking at things, and they're wanting to grow and to enjoy and to experience. Their playful energy, not caring that jumping in a mud puddle will get your pants dirty. Not worrying about tomorrow, but fully engaging in life today, like a child. In Matthew chapter 11, verse 19, Jesus said, in contrast to John the Baptist, who lived in the desert, He said, the Son of Man, on the other hand, feasts and drinks, and you say he's a glutton and a drunkard, and a friend of tax collectors and other sinners. But wisdom is shown to be right by its results. Jesus was in trouble with those who are religious because they thought He was with the sinners. In reality, what He was doing was being in places where people played, so to speak. It was adult type of behavior play, but it was still play, and Jesus was one who really took the time to be there and to do that. So life is too short for you not to play, and the Bible tells me so. Secondly, life is too short to not make memories. It's very important, I think, as we look at our priorities. And as you realize and you look back at your life and you think about what matters and what do you remember. And a lot of times I get a chance to, in the funeral times, where I'll go and talk to family members about the person that they love that has passed away. And when I do that, I ask them, what are the stories? And they will tell me about different memories and events and times. And my dad was like this. My son was like this. My mother or grandmother, this is who they were to me. And then they'd tell me the story. They don't just tell me the characteristics and qualities. They tell me, here's the life events that explain why those qualities matter and how they came out into practical ways of living life. You know, so one of the things we have to realize is if life is a lot about memories, then we need to prioritize our relationships in such a way that we try to provide and give memories to one another. One of the things my kids have been asking me is where to go on vacation, and I've been talking to them about Anna's and our trip from here to, from Fort Worth, going to Seattle and going through lots of places that we were able to see as we drove about 7 days to get there. And we went to Bryce Canyon, we went to the Grand Canyon, we went to Yellowstone Park, we went to the Petrified Forest, and different kinds, and other places in between, and things. And it was just a great and wonderful trip. And our kids, everybody wants to go now to take that trip. Why? Well, because it creates awesome memories. It creates times where you're together and you remember going and being there and seeing things together. But you know, it's not just trips. Not everybody can travel. Not everybody can go. There are things you can do right now at your house, at your place, with your children. I remember playing sports and things with my dad. We had table games before there were computers and such, and PlayStations and Xboxes and things like that. And Dad and I would play, and I remember those times of just being with my dad, he and I playing games, or I would remember playing games with the rest of the family, and it was memories. My children remember the times when my mother would play gin rummy, and there'd be a whole group of us playing gin rummy or some other kind of card game, and in that process, my mother would fall asleep right there while we're playing the games, and wake up to play her turn, and by George, if she wouldn't beat us in the times when she would play us, be asleep. It was amazing. But we all remember those. Those are good memories. I want to encourage you. Life is too short for you not to plan how to have good memories with those that you love and that you have a relationship with. One of the most important stories that is a theme of how I live with the idea of memories and the importance of the now is the story, the play called Our Town by Thornton Wilder. It's about a young woman named Emily who passes away. And she is given the opportunity to go back for one day and to not necessarily relive her life, but kind of watch it as a sort of a ghost, if you will, where others can't see her, but she can see them. And she chooses a day when she is 14 years old. And she goes back and she looks at her town, and she goes back literally inside the house, and she sees her mother, and she sees things happening, and it's her birthday, and this is what she says. "Oh, Mama, look at me 1 minute as though you really saw me. Mama, 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. You're a grandmother, Mama. Wally's dead too. His appendix burst on a camping trip to North Conway. We felt just terrible about it. Don't you remember? But just for a moment now, look at us, Mama. We're all together. Mama, just for a moment, we're happy. Let's really look at one another." And with tears in her eyes, I can't go on. It goes so fast. We don't have time to look at one another. I didn't realize, so all that was going on and we never noticed. Take me back up the hill to my grave. But first, wait. One more look. Goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corner. Mama and Papa. Goodbye to clocks ticking and Mama's sunflowers and food and coffee and new iron dresses and hot baths and sleeping and waking up. Oh, Earth, you are too wonderful for anybody to realize you. Do any human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute? That stands out to me as how important it is to stop and live in the now and to realize even if you're not in some fantastic place of making a memory, sometimes it's just living the daily life with the understanding of what's really going on and the appreciation of life as you have it right now. You and those you love need some memories, some moments, some times worth saying, this is right now. Let's appreciate it and value it. Whether you give it a picture, a written word, a letter, a video, or even just taking notice and concreting it in your mind to hold on to for future decades. Life is too short not to make memories. Life is too short not to play. Life is too short to not have a greater cause than yourself. You see, sometimes as we go through life, all we do is think of us and me and what I want. And play even can get in a way where all we do is just accumulate things that we want instead of what's best for everybody else around us. And life is too short for that. Life's too short to not have a cause that's greater than you. Now, I believe to do that, you need to find life's purpose. And I believe that can only be found through a spiritual pilgrimage by getting to know God better and understanding the values of what He teaches and what He wants and what He desires. And you can kind of read about it if you want in the Purpose-Driven Life. It talks about finding the purpose that for your life and for life in general, and realizing that there's a spiritual aspect to life, and too many of us go on living our lives thinking about only of our physical well-being instead of really what matters to life, and that there's really a spiritual, it's not only a spiritual part, but that spiritually that's what sets us apart as human beings instead of those others in the animal kingdom. But with that, I want to tell you number 4, because I want to bring these two together. One is, life is too short to not have a greater cause. It's important to remember our spiritual purpose in life. But there's second, the last part that I want to talk to you about, life is too short to procrastinate. So one is, you have a spiritual purpose, but it's also the idea of not procrastinating, of not putting things off. And that's another reason I see people, is not only are they too busy to come to church or to really have a real relationship with a living God, instead sometimes they procrastinate. I'll put it off until my later years. And I haven't met a person who ever came to know the Lord and really followed Him, found their purpose, who didn't say, I wish I would have found this earlier. I wish I would have seen it before this. And they wish they could have had it even as children, and as they grew up as young adults, they wish they could have had it sooner. It's not something to procrastinate and to put off. Let me tell you a story that's found in the Bible. It's in the book of Haggai, which is a really hard book to find. You kind of need to come to Malachi at the end of the Old Testament and just turn left a few books and you'll come to Haggai. The Hebrew people at that time were a defeated people. The northern kingdom of Israel had been defeated, and 136 years later, the southern kingdom of Judah was defeated, and the city of Jerusalem and the temple of God at that time lay in ruins. The Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar had defeated the southern kingdom and dispersed the Jewish people throughout Babylon, through the Babylonian Empire. Many had been brought back to Babylon. Persia eventually defeated the Babylonians and was the greater power in the region. Cyrus the Great, who was the Persian king, issued a decree that actually permitted conquered people to return to their homeland. And they would rebuild as long as they could pay taxes and were loyal to the Persian Empire. So he gave them quite a bit of freedom. So once they were Babylonian captives, now they were Persian captives, but now they were able to return home. So about 50,000 of the Jews had returned to Judah and Jerusalem in particular. When they got there, they rebuilt the altar part of the temple, and then they stopped. So they built the altar so they could have worship, and that's what they did, but they stopped from there, and then they turned and started building their own houses and taking care of themselves, which, you can kind of understand that would be natural. But at the same time, God said, you've been here long enough, and He had a different viewpoint of what He thought should happen. Let me read the first chapter of Haggai, beginning with verse 2. This is what the Lord Almighty says. These people say, the time has not yet come to rebuild the Lord's house. They're saying it's not time yet. We're doing something else. It's not time. That's not our priority. Then the word of the Lord came through the prophet Haggai. It is a time is it time for you yourselves to be living in your paneled houses while this house, meaning God's house, remains a ruin? Now this is what the Lord Almighty says. Give careful thought to your ways. Sounds familiar, like what I was just preaching on. The importance of setting your priorities and realizing that God may have different priorities than what you do, and we need to adjust our lives to have the priorities that God has for us. He says, you have planted much, but harvested little. You eat, but you never have enough. You drink, but never have your fill. You put on clothes, but you're not warm. You earn wages only to put them in a purse with holes in it. Why, declares the Lord Almighty? Because of my house, which remains a ruin, while each of you is busy with your own house. Then Haggai, the Lord's messenger, gave the message of the Lord to the people. I am with you, declares the Lord. Now what is going on here is actually pretty understandable. God says you are procrastinating. You are putting off taking care of my house. You have gone and made your house and invested in that and built that, but now all you're doing is adding on and adding on and adding on, but it's never enough. You need to stop and change priorities and come back and build more than the altar. You need to take care of the house of the Lord. There is a greater purpose for your life than just building something for yourself. You need to remember who it is that has helped you get here and why you are here. And there is a greater cause for your purpose in life than just pleasing you. And he reminds them to not procrastinate. So you can see why I want to do both of these together. Life is too short not to have a spiritual purpose, and life is too short to procrastinate. Don't put off that spiritual purpose. There's a fable which tells of 3 apprenticed devils. They were coming to this earth to finish their apprenticeship. They were talking to Satan, the chief of the devils, about their plans to tempt and to ruin men and women's lives. The first one said, I will tell them that there is no God. Satan said, that will not delude many, for they know inside their hearts there is a God. The second said, I will tell them there is no hell. Satan answered, you will deceive some, but not many that way. Men even know that there is a hell because of their sin. The third said, I will tell men that there is no hurry. Ah, Satan said, go and you will ruin men by the thousands. You know, that's the way Satan wants to get to us. He'll continually whisper in your ear to just procrastinate, put it off, live life unintentionally, let things just happen, be haphazard, and don't worry about the now. And he continues to tell us there's plenty of time to get things done when there is a limited amount of time. It is one of the most dangerous delusions of our time. Now, any of you have heard about a bucket list. Do you have a bucket list? Do you have a list of things you want to accomplish and to get done maybe in a certain amount of time? You know, a lot of us have bucket lists. I want to go here, I want to go there, and I want to do some of these things. Sometimes it's in travel, sometimes it's certain memories, sometimes it's certain events. Well, let me ask you, if you were to create a bucket list, is there any spiritual goal in your thoughts of a bucket list? See, that's the problem. Many of us think about, well, I want to go here and do this and do that. We don't even have a spiritual goal. And yet we serve the Lord and call Him our Lord and our God, and we surrender to Him, we follow Him, but there's no spiritual goal in your life. Do you have some financial goals, planning for the future, wanting to buy certain things? But what about spiritual goals? Wanting to accomplish something for God, wanting to give so that something in your church or in your community, a need can be taken care of, and you're thinking about, how can I get that done? And maybe how can I even recruit others to help me? Do you have some goals to improve yourself physically? Going on a diet, another one, or the 5th one, or the 100th one, or whatever it is. Do you have goals for working out, which changes over age, the different kinds of working out that you can do? But what about spiritual goals? If you have goals for yourself physically, don't you think you ought to have some goals for you spiritually also? Whether that's reading the Bible through in 1 year, or whether it's recording 10 Christian songs to make your own little a CD or own little digital way of playing that music that lifts you up and makes you think of the Lord. Or perhaps you need to say, I'm going to read 3 Christian books this year. And I'm going to think about that. And I'm going to read books. I'm going to find the books that I need to read so that I can have part of my spiritual growth, because I've got goals that are spiritual for my life. You know, life is too short not to have priorities. Life is too short to not be playing. Life is too short not to be creating memories. Life is too short not to have a greater cause. And life is too short to put it off and to procrastinate. Now, if you were at worship service, what we would do now is show you a Billy Graham video called Life is Too Short. And it's also called About the Now. We'll put that on our video in just a minute so that you can see it, or at least go to the YouTube and play Billy Graham. It's only about 4 minutes long. But I like Billy Graham, and he really does a great job emphasizing exactly what I've been talking about today. Life is too short to not have priorities. You need to do it right now. Don't put it off. Don't procrastinate. And most importantly, keep that relationship with God growing and having goals, because life is just too short to not have a cause that is greater than yourself. Let's have a word of prayer. Father, I thank you for loving us and caring for us. Father, this message it's not really new at all. It's been here for a long time in your scriptures. It's been preached by many preachers before. Father, we need to hear it, and we need to apply that truth into our lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
You are my strength when I am weak. You are the treasure that I seek. You are my all in all. Seeking you was a precious jewel. Lord, to give up, I'd be a fool. You are my all in all. Jesus, Lamb of God, worthy is your name. Jesus, Lamb of God, worthy is your name. Taking my sin, my cross, my shame, rising again, I bless your name. You are my all in all. When I fall down, you pick me up. When I am dry, you fill my cup. You are my all in all. Jesus, Lamb of God, worthy is your name. Jesus, Lamb of God, worthy is your name.
Well, I hope you had the opportunity to listen to Billy Graham, and hope you take the time to do that. You know, really YouTube has a lot of different things. There's a lot of good Christian music on there, a lot of things to listen to. If you can figure out how to do the computer, and if not, just ask one of the kids. They know how to do that all over the place and things. So anyway, we're glad to have you with us. Appreciate your taking the time to join us, and I hope that there's a little inspiration there and some meaning for you and your relationship with the Lord, and that you can set some spiritual goals along with other things in your life that you want to do. And we also hope that pretty soon we'll be able to come back to church and be able to be involved and not be as frightened about our health and situations like that. And so let's continue to pray for one another. I want to encourage you to pray for your neighbors around you, as well as the leaders of our nation and also the world. We have a lot of folks in need. Last week I really wanted to invite you to pray for children around the world, because children have so many difficulties right now. There's not just ours here, but all around the world, there's just really a lot of tragic, difficult situations that children find themselves in. And we want to encourage you to pray for them and to pray for our evangelical missionaries, not just the Baptists, but all missionaries who are lifting the name and cause of Christ around our world. These are difficult times, and you know it, and it's felt not just here, but everywhere. And so we need to stick together and need to be ones who are united in the cause of Christ. And so let's remember to be in prayer for others as well. Thank you for joining us today, and I pray that God will be with you, watch over you, and that He'll lead and direct your paths as you go forward in your life. May God bless you until next time.